What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you guys have had a great Wednesday as we're getting our way through the work week. Let me start by saying it is going to be very hard to just say, hey, this is Mitch. I'm so used to saying this is Mitch with SC Weather, but as you can tell, if you're watching this video and didn't watch the one last night, I did make a name change. It's just Mitch West Weather, just Mitch West. So it's nothing's going to change. I just made the change just due to the fact that before it was a picture of South Carolina, which I think made probably a lot of people who are just clicking on my page, just watching my content, think, okay, maybe he just talks weather about South Carolina. I didn't want anybody thinking of that. That actually was what I was going to do when I first started YouTube, but obviously that changed over the course of the next several months. And I talk more weather about a more broad area, the southeast, the eastern U.S. So that's why I made the change. I talked a little bit more on why I made the change in the last video, so if you want to check that out. But anyways, in this video, we're going to break down what looks to be a very active next week. It looks like the severe weather is really going to ramp up. I'm not here to say that we're going to get some outbreaks next week, but one thing I can say is we're going to get more into a more warmer pattern. We're going to get humidity that rises. We're going to get a lot of CAPE that rises up into the deep south, the southeast, the mid-south, everywhere in the south central U.S. like Texas. And we're going to get a lot of energy that's going to build next week. So there's going to be a lot of energy for storms. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. All the way up into the Ohio Valley. So there's a lot to talk about because there's a lot of energy there that could really play a big factor into what could be an active first full week of May. So that's what we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about the Euro and the GFS and how they're having some good agreement about something going on, maybe a several day event. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. Y'all's support has been amazing. Also, I'm very active on Twitter, very active on Facebook, but Twitter I'm very, very active. So definitely give me a follow if you want to follow along more frequently. Obviously, talk a little bit more about other things besides weather, but it's mostly 80% weather stuff. So definitely give me a follow there. Also, if you have anything that I can pray about, anything that anybody in the comments can pray about, definitely put it in the comments. Give me an opportunity to pray for you guys. Give me an opportunity to give others an opportunity to reach out to you. So prayer is powerful, so take advantage of that. Definitely, I believe that sometimes you have to take your platform or something like that you can glorify God with. So definitely put that in the comments. So let's start talking about some weather. So the Storm Prediction Center. So this is day 2. We're not going to talk about what's going on right now. We got some pretty powerful storms going on in Texas. Producing some big-time gorilla hail is what the weather community calls, which is another name for large hail. But there's no outbreak going on. It's nothing huge or major unless you happen to be under that storm. That's you're getting hammered with baseball-sized hail, unfortunately, which I'm sure somebody is right now. But a marginal risk tomorrow for a big stripe where basically this surface low is kind of flowing through with this upper level low piece of energy that is over the central U.S. here. But nothing big. You go, and I hope this loads for us quick, guys. Y'all bear with me. You go to day 3 here, and not a whole lot going on. General risk of thunderstorms. You go to day 4 and 5, and nothing is really being talked about as far as next week. The Storm Prediction Center is basically not biting on next week yet. So there also isn't a specific day that we really know about. What I can show you here, this is high anomalies right here. So basically, this is kind of what's left of our energy into this weekend. This gets going, but watch kind of as it gets into next week. This piece right here, it's basically a cutoff piece of energy, a upper level low, a cutoff low, an upper trough, whatever you want to call it. But when these dig like this, basically you can get a low-level jet that pops off right here and brings rich moisture, brings heat, humidity, all the thermodynamics in place. Of course, you got to talk about shear. Is there enough low-level shear for significant tornadoes? We just don't know that kind of information yet. And even if it did show it, it's kind of hard to say, hey, we know for sure that's going to happen, but we don't. It's nothing like that. So, but basically these little digs, these little upper troughs, they dig right here, and what happens here is you have a change up in atmosphere and you have a low-level jet that can pop off here, and this thing keeps going. This is next Tuesday, and look how it doesn't really surge northeast. It kind of starts moving east, and it's digging right here. So basically anybody into here is going to be seeing storms. So that's looking more like a southeast mid-Atlantic threat. So you kind of have to watch right here. Now the southeast is baking as this is going on until more stable air gets into the area late next week into early next weekend. But that's pretty far out to talk about. You look at the 850s here, and you can really tell this is just the operational European. You can really tell where the potential for a low-level jet could pop off. You know, right here, winds are screaming at the 850s here in Arkansas, but kind of figuring out the position of it is impossible. But look, those are some strong winds in the upper atmosphere indicating there. And then, you know, another one kind of surface low kind of comes through and does the same thing. So there's a lot of fuel for thunderstorms. You look at this, you look at the European as far as Cape. Cape is convective energy for thunderstorms, basically. So look as we get into this weekend, you notice it's kind of tampered down because basically you have more stable air that kind of goes into the southeast. So obviously when you have stable dry air, you don't have Cape 95% of the time. So look here, but look as we get into late weekend, you finally get rid of basically the troughing going on in the southeast, mid-Atlantic, and northeast. So it's replaced by a ridge, and you get Cape that builds here. I'm talking big-time Cape 2 here in Texas. It showed the same scenario 24 hours ago, and it is not letting up. It's showing some intense Cape values. Now, one thing I do want to note, there's something going to be a cap probably in place, which could be good or bad. Could be good because if there's a strong enough cap, it means even though there's a ton of energy, nothing is going to bust through the cap, which is basically a boundary in the upper atmosphere that doesn't allow storms and updrafts to form to cause supercells. So you get that there, but will it happen? Not sure. But you go in here in time, it's not just energy over here. It's energy in the southeast. You have Cape values of 1 to 2 to 3,000, even in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, getting into the Carolinas. You notice the sharp cutoff. That's because this upper troughing right here basically brings in its own stable air, its drier dew points, and basically you get rid of the Cape. So it flattens out here as you have a upper trough digging right into here. But at the base of this is you have severe weather and chances for severe weather and just storms in general. So this is basically all next week. This is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday into Friday into Saturday. So once you get in late into the week, you kind of get it that moves through. But you look at this right here. This is pivotal weather, as I say every time. Bear with me here. What's concerning here is this is the European. This is getting into Saturday. This is getting to Sunday. Now watch this energy right here. This kind of flies up through here. But as it kind of moves east, you have another surface low that pops off here. And this is Tuesday afternoon, evening, whatever. Look at all these individual, it almost shows individual clusters on the European, which is something you don't really see unless you're looking at short-range models and things like that. So it's interesting. You get a little bit closer here. Bear with me as I get this pulled up. I got something in my eye here. You get into that Tuesday range I was just showing you. And look here. Look at the clusters right here. So you're almost already seeing what looks like supercells the European is trying to show, but the European, it's not a model that's going to show individual supercells, or the GFS isn't either. So this is kind of alarming. It basically shows a lot of activity next week, and then it gets more into Georgia and the Carolinas until Wednesday. So it looks very active next week, at least for 2 days. I can tell you that. This is the GFS, so it's not just the European. The GFS is showing something very similar. You get into Sunday, look at the Cape starting to build into Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, even Tennessee. And then it really pops off. This is Cape values of over 3,000 surface Cape joules per kilogram, much higher than that in some places. And it's spreading out all over the southeast, the mid-Atlantic, even the southern Ohio Valley, south-central U.S., deep south. And it basically just keeps flexing its guns here. And then it rises again. So what is this going to be? Is this just going to be kind of an active week as far as just a lot of storms? But keep in mind, this is still the time of the year where you have these upper troughs to dig through. And normally when you get these upper troughs to dig through, you have severe weather because at the base of these upper troughs, you have low-level jets that pops off and have sheer winds screaming in the upper atmosphere and then change-ups in the atmosphere, which is shear. One thing I do want to mention, hopefully you guys have stayed through the whole video because this is very interesting. Check out the air temperatures. The air as we get into this week. It's going to be not a chilly week, but it's going to be a more spring-like week as far as areas in the eastern U.S. The heat's going to already start building in the Midwest and things like that. But as we get into Sunday, we get warmer, and here comes the influenced pattern change right here as basically an upper trough starts digging here. Look how warm we are. I know this only shows like 80s, but a lot of these areas right here are going to be into the 90s. And look at the lows. So you got low temperatures. These are around about lows. Low temperatures in the low 70s. That is summer type kind of low temperatures these first few days into May. You can obviously tell where the boundary sets up, where the jet stream is, and basically the upper trough bringing its own more stable, cooler air. But before it comes, next Tuesday, holy cow, looks like a scorcher for the southeast. And you could have some strong storms starting to pop off right here. But I wouldn't be surprised if someone sees the mid-90s, whether that's in Florida, Carolinas, not sure. But it stays warm. And it kind of backs off a little bit towards mid to late week until you get that upper trough that kind of influences the temperatures. But one thing I want to mention also is it's not just the temperatures. These are dew points. It's probably kind of small on your screen. These are dew points, and I started off. So this is Sunday. You see these dew points in the 40s and 50s. That's very dry, comfortable air. But look how quickly you basically get a southern flow that comes out the Gulf, and a ridge builds. Dew points get into the 60s and 70s the rest of the week for the southeast. So it's not only before more stable air moves through with the upper trough. So it's not only going to be very warm, it's going to be very humid. Next week is going to be a first real taste of summer. So if you're a big summer fan, next week is pool weather for the southeast and deep south. I'm telling you right now, even areas of the mid-Atlantic, it's going to get hot. Even the mid-south and Ohio Valley could get pretty warm. So we're watching the severe weather and we're watching the heat that looks like it's going to start to build. But that's all I got, guys. Thank you all for tuning in, and y'all have a blessed night.